Hey Psycho fans, welcome back to the program. Okay, we're going to try something a little bit different today, maybe a little bit of a rant, a filibuster, whatever you want to call it. This one is about Tesla. The reason I'm bringing it up is that I was actually going to talk about this a few months ago, but I was going through my YouTube channels, which I subscribe to, and Super Speeder Rob, who I subscribe to, some of you may as well, actually brought this topic up a week or two ago, and I thought, okay, this is going to be a good time for me to bring it up too, because he talked about some of the reasons why he didn't like Tesla, and he gave a whole bunch of different reasons for it, and many of them completely fair, logical, legitimate. The weight of the car, or range anxiety, the price of the car, all kinds of things, and they made perfect sense. However, the main reason why I don't like Tesla was not even one of the reasons that he brought up to why he had an aversion to Tesla. So I wanted to bring it to your attention today, and you tell me what you think, if my argument makes a lot of sense or doesn't. So the main reason why I have a problem with Tesla has to do with how they conduct their business in an environment where tax subsidies encourage people to buy their cars, okay? As you know, the federal government creates these tax subsidies for people to buy environmentally clean cars, friendly cars, eco cars, green cars, whatever you want to call them. But if they run on a battery or a hybrid or something like that, chances are there's going to be a tax subsidy out there to help you buy it, to encourage you to buy it at the very least. I have a big problem with that, and especially in the case of Tesla, and here's why. The average Tesla owner has like a $250,000 or $280,000 average income. They're like one of the highest income brackets of any owners group in the country. They're like as higher than Porsche, Mercedes. You know, they're way at the top. They're at the very top. So basically what you're doing is you're creating a tax subsidy for somebody making $250,000 a year to go into a dealership to buy an $80,000, $100,000 or $125,000 luxury item, okay? Now the problem with that is tax subsidies, they don't just, fall off of trees. They're not created by a tax subsidy unicorn. They have to come from somewhere. There's no free lunch anywhere. The money has to come from somewhere. And unfortunately, the money comes from other taxpayers, 98% of which would have absolutely no ability whatsoever to be able to buy a Tesla with their own money. Yet, they are being asked to subsidize somebody who can to go into a Tesla dealership to buy that car. So, in essence, you've got somebody, a landscaper or an HVAC repairman making $25,000, $30,000 a year, having some of his or her tax money going to somebody making $250,000 a year to walk into a dealership to buy a $100,000 car. That makes no fucking sense whatsoever, okay? Now, maybe at the very least, if you're into this tax subsidy thing, you could make an argument in the opposite direction, that those at the top should be helping those at the very bottom, the low, the poverty level income people, to help buy a jalopy car to somehow get them on their feet, get them to work or something. Maybe in that case you can make a case for it, but I'm trying to make the case that there shouldn't be any tax subsidies for anybody for anything. Doesn't matter what you're buying, whether you're buying a $15,000 car or a $150,000 car. And the reason is simple: it just creates a giant moral hazard, and it also creates unfair competition. It creates unfair competition for those trying to compete with Tesla for the same customers, and they are competing for the same customers. The other thing that I have sort of an issue with Tesla is they use these tax subsidies to create the impression that we're receiving the subsidy because we're creating a green car. You come in and buy the green car, you get a few $1,000 subsidy that you wouldn't otherwise get had you bought a Mercedes S-Class or a BMW 7 Series. But the problem is you're really not buying a green car. A Tesla isn't any more environmentally friendly to the planet than just a really good high mileage per gallon gas powered car or a diesel powered car. Once you kind of amortize everything out, their pros and cons, their strengths and weaknesses with the environment, it's pretty much a wash. It's negligible. So whatever a Tesla, a battery powered car, or a hybrid powered car gains with not filling up every time you need to go somewhere, well, every time you charge that car at the charging station in your garage, it's not like a unicorn comes down with electricity and just zaps it into the car. No, there's a coal-fired plant somewhere churning coal, creating electricity, pumping electricity into your house. The electricity has to go from your house into the charging station, from the charging station into your car. So coal is being burned to put electricity into your car. Now we can debate how much coal has to be burned in order to do that, but then you've got other environmental issues you have to deal with battery powered cars, hybrid powered cars. You've got the batteries. How do you dispose of the batteries? The natural resources it takes to create those batteries is astronomically high. The amount of hydro and other things that you have to use, natural resources that you have to create. You have to have coal plants and natural gas plants in order to run the plants to create the batteries, in order to put the batteries in the car. And then when the battery dies or stops working or starts losing its charge or its capacity to keep it charged, you have to properly dispose of that battery. And then you have to bring out the guys in the hazmat suits or the space suits to come out and figure out a way to dispose of this battery, which is not environmentally friendly and has a half-life of who knows how long. So there are all kinds of pros and cons environmentally to buying a Tesla, just as there is to buying a high mileage per gallon Volkswagen. The Volkswagen doesn't have, well, as long as Volkswagen's not getting sued, but let's use a different example rather than Volkswagen. Let's say a Honda. A high mileage per gallon Honda, it doesn't have to deal with the battery issue and disposing of batteries and all that stuff, but you do burn gas every time you fill up. So you're not buying a Tesla because you want to save the planet. You want to buy a Tesla because it's a great accelerating car. You like the way it looks, the technology, the ability to update it through like firmware, over Wi-Fi and the internet and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things going for Tesla, which you may legitimately find a reason to encourage you to buy the car, but it shouldn't be for the environmental reason, and it shouldn't be for the tax subsidy. If you want to buy a $125,000 car, you go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you in any way. And if you're making $250,000 a year, I hope you make $250 million a year. But you need to go out and buy that car with your own money. I don't ask anybody to help purchase my cars for me. If I can't afford them, I need to buy a less expensive car. If you want to go out and buy a Tesla, you go out and do that. But if you need a tax subsidy from somebody making $25,000, $30,000 a year, that in their lifetime they're never going to be able to afford a Tesla unless the new Model 3 or X or whatever it's called comes out and they decide they want to buy that, that's fine. But you really shouldn't be taking from people who can't afford a product to subsidize people who can't afford a luxury product. I'd feel the same way if we were trying to subsidize the purchase of Gulfstream private jets. So multi-millionaires, instead of paying $80 million for a Gulfstream, maybe the Gulfstream is a little bit more environmentally friendly than a Learjet. So let's encourage them to buy the Gulfstream for $72 million instead of $80 million, and that $8 million comes from tax subsidies from, your landscaper, your HVAC repairman. No, that doesn't make any sense. That's totally backwards. If you want to buy luxury goods, luxury items, you need to pay full price for them. And if you can't pay full price for them, you either aren't making enough money to pay for them, or those products are overpriced, or those products are not mature enough in the market to be relevant. So if Tesla can't sell their cars at full price without a tax subsidy, they're either overpriced or the market's just not ready for electric cars yet. And that could be the case. Maybe they're 10 years too early. Maybe in 10 or 15 years people will make that decision and they'll part bread with a Tesla instead of something else, instead of an S-Class Mercedes. But that's their choice. That's the decision left to them. And they can vote with their wallet because that's the only vote that really counts. But don't bring subsidies into play and start penalizing other companies that aren't getting the subsidy, like Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, BMW, any of these car companies that are selling fairly decent high mileage per gallon cars that aren't any more or less environmentally friendly, but they don't get the tax subsidy because they're not battery powered. And battery powered is the big thing. And that's the only thing that gets you basically the subsidy. So that's what I think. That's one of the main reasons why I'm not a big fan of Tesla, or really any other company that takes tax subsidies in order to sell their products. It could be Tesla, it could be anything else. There are other reasons why you might not like Tesla, and there may be reasons why you like them. You might like their style, you might like how they can, in ludicrous mode, pretty much outrun anything up to 120 miles an hour. If you want to go out and buy one, far be it from me to stop you. I congratulate you. You have a blast with it. No hurt feelings here in any way. I'm just saying, don't ask me to help you buy it. Don't ask me to help you buy anything of yours, whether it's a Tesla or anything else. So that's what I think. Tell me what you think. If you like this video, like it. If you didn't like it, don't like it. Share it on your social media channels, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all those. And share it on YouTube as well. I mean, that's the only way we grow the channel, is to bring in more subscribers, more viewers to the channel. So with that said, if you are a first-time viewer, do yourself a favor and subscribe today so you never miss an episode. Take care.